Okay, so in the last video, we created a table, gave it some icons and some titles that go along with it, right? And the one thing I mentioned was that we're actually creating a new UITableView cell for each one of the rows in here. So each row of data within our table has its own view. And that's actually not a good thing, especially if you have a ton of rows that are going to be in this table. What you want to do is actually reuse the cells or the view cells, table view cells, and you want to have the table view take care of that reuse, like recycling essentially for you. So what you do is, instead of using UITableView, what I found is you could use DQ reusable cell with identifier. And the reason why we would use this one rather than the other DQ reusable cell is because this one above it, it actually adds the reusable cell back onto the table with that new information. And the one below, I don't believe does. So we'll go ahead and we'll just stick with this one, and I'll copy that in here, or I'll copy the Objective-C code and paste that into a comment. And because it is asking for a kind of UITableView cell, what I mean is, because this is a table view method, we want to use this on the table view. Okay, so what we do is we get that table view that we passed in, so table view, and then we're going to pass this onto it. Then we're going to give it a string. So this is going to be, the identifier is going to be a string. And you'll see that this is a string that identifies a cell object to be reused. So what we'll do is I'll just name this cell, and then what we need to do is now pass in a for index path, and it's going to be this index path for this particular row. And so what we need to do next is, if you take a look at the documentation, you're going to see under discussion, it says something important here. You need to use register class for reuse identifier before calling this method. So in order for this to be called before that method, we want to actually do it in the load view. So if we go into the documentation and go to register class for reuse identifier, I'll take this Objective-C declaration, I'll paste it into a comment, and then I will use this because it is a table view method. I will use this on the table view. I'll register the class, and it is looking for the type of cell class that you want to reuse. And so you're going to pass in that UI table view cell class, and it's going to be for reusable identifier, and it needs that same string. So that reusable identifier is the same reusable cell identifier that's down here. So we'll take that cell and we will pass it in there. Now this should actually still work. So if we close down that session and use rake again, this should actually give us the same result. But now, instead of creating a new table view cell for each and every row, it's reusing table view cells that we currently aren't able to see. So it's only going to create a certain amount, and then it's going to reuse those, and that's supposed to help a lot with performance, again, especially if you have a ton of data that you want to display on this table view. So that's basically it in terms of getting those performance increases. I hope this helps. Again, I'll see you in the next video.